with the thing that we were using before, and we're live, everybody. We're not recording anything yet. We're just getting ready. Rhett, I saw you're there. Hey, Jeff McKinney. With the service that we were using before, I would have to log into YouTube and I would have to set everything up, and then I would have to log into the app, and then I would have to have them both up at the same time, and I would have to bring an API over from one to the other, and then I'd have to go back to YouTube and go live. So it does it all in one app, and I can schedule it, and I can do everything from here. And then it's got all this branding as well, and it ties directly to YouTube. It ties directly to Facebook. I can tie it directly to Twitch. Oh, LinkedIn. I could go LinkedIn, and so people comment, and I can do all those channels at once. So I can stream it to Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn. And if anybody comments, it shows up in the app, and I can click a button and throw it up on the screen.
Cool. This is so cool.
That alone is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much branding stuff. There's I can do this where I can put other additional stuff up here.
Ethel hasn't been around in a while.
Ethel is here. Oh my goodness. Check. Oh, and there we go. Brad H is here. Oh.
Hello. Hi.
So that is the Minch.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up? Nice glasses.
Oh, thank you. Outfit. Yeah, it's tough, man. When you're out in lights, like, you know.
Can I be perfectly honest with you? Here's a story that won't leave. This won't be live. So my sexual chocolate video.
Yes, I do.
Where I shaved that kind of look into my face. Yeah, my wife was like, no, you just need to stay away from me for a little while after you did that, because I.
Oh no. That's the irony, is that the wife hates it, but the ladies love it. So it's it's weird. It's weird, man. Another day in the life.
Yeah.
NFL, top 30 NFL quarterback.
All right. So April, not much has changed since the last time you're on. As you can see, it's still just as chaotic.
April, it's really good to see you.
It's so nice to see you guys. Seriously, it feels like like a reunion, like a real reunion, not just like a reunion.
I was thinking about it. The last time you were on, I was down in Florida.
Yes, I remember.
It was spring break.
Yeah, I remember you had like a remote sort of setup.
Yeah, it was.
You didn't have your sound effects.
It was. That's right. I didn't. Oh, everybody.
At this point, I'd insert a sound effect, but I don't have one.
Are we on? Can they see us?
They can see us. We are live on the YouTubes. We're not recording the show yet.
Were we live on YouTube when I came in?
Yes.
Oh, that's perfect, man. That's what I wanted. Okay. Cool.
It was
sorry, I didn't mean to break character. Sorry. To be honest, Gardner Minshew II doesn't even know how Gardner Minshew II really talks. I'm just pretending.
I'm gonna record you recording us.
So there you go.
Getting very meta over here. Yeah.
There it is.
Say hello.
Hello.
You didn't say hello with the
Hello.
Hello,
everybody.
Sorry. Gardner Minshew waves like this.
Okay. All right. So April, not much has changed. The delivery has, but the show pretty much stays the same. Yeah. We'll go through the same process. We'll do our intro. We'll introduce the panel. We'll introduce you. We'll all talk about what we're talking about. Ruyak has the wine, beer, spirit, or pop culture reference tonight. Then we'll get into the interview. The interview will probably be 20, 30 minutes. And we're going to make sure that we keep booze news in tonight, because we're going to talk about some Halloween pairings. And as well as that, we may come to you and do some potential cocktail pairings with some different kind of Halloween candy.
Okay.
I think that may be interesting. Everybody, the chat is blowing up. Oh, yes, Kristen. It's going to be that kind of episode. Coming in hot.
Gardner Minshew II can't read a lot of these comments. Not because of the glasses. It's because I never learned how to read defenses.
Oh my! Did your garage really break, or were you just working?
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. The torsion coil just blew up.
Never fun.
I didn't hear the pop except for when the guy was fixing it. You know, he made sure to pop it a couple times. Like it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
Those are scary things. You don't want to mess with them.
When I had that happen, it broke once it got the garage to the door to the top, so it lost all its tension.
And it just flopped
down.
back down.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, scared the living everything out of me.
No, mine was like it would only open 6 inches. Yeah, and then you try to close it, and it would hit the bottom and then come back 6 inches. And
all right. Yeah, April, as usual, we're way off task. So
no, all good. I'm just trying to figure out how to gram this.
Oh, gotcha.
How do I direct people to this?
WeLikeDrinking.com/show.
Okay, and that's how they can join the live?
Yeah, they can watch live.
They can watch live. They're not going to join us in the room.
But we'll see their comments and everything.
Yeah.
Sure, let's see if I can do that. All right. But don't mind me. I'll just do this until you.
Okay.
Everything on our agenda,
guys. Anything else before we go live, or is everybody good?
I think I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm always ready.
Here we go. All right. Okay. I can't believe you got a shirt, dude. That's so fantastic. Is that a better? I don't know. A better photo of me? We got this.
There you go. Yes.
All right.
I like Rhett with the beard. I'm partial to facial hair, Rhett.
Oh, and Kristen and Methyl out there, they're gone. They won't watch any more of the show. The conversations have already started.
I thought he was just not going to watch altogether. I was like, oh, meth. I don't know if I'd seen meth in a while.
It's been a while.
I mean, Gardner Minshew likes meth. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Comedy gold. All right. So let me get to our branding and let's get set up. So where'd it go? Oh, here it is. All right. Here we go.
At the sound of the tone, the official We Like Drinking time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
This week on episode 301 of the We Like Drinking podcast, we'll be discussing Halloween pairings with beer, wine, and spirits. We are being our own bartenders. We are pouring drinks with April Wachtel. So crack open your beer, uncork that wine, and let's get drinking.
Let's get drinking!
Oh, listeners, I can just tell you this, listeners. We've created a monster since we made the new opening so awesome and the visuals so awesome at WeLikeDrinking.com/show every Tuesday night at 7:30 Pacific. We have an extra special guest in the house tonight besides our special guest, April Wachtel. You gotta.
Now you're talking about me.
You're the extra. We got this other clown, and then we have our special guest, April Wachtel. So, cheers, my podcast drinking friends, and welcome to 301 of your favorite award-winning and topical beer and wine education podcast, focusing on fun. Minshew's not even talking. He's so cool. He doesn't even need to talk to us. So Make sure you never miss another episode of our brand of drinking fun by visiting welikedrinking.com/subscribe. Solomon, you've got me so out of whack with, can you explain to our listeners what we're looking at in your bedroom tonight?
I mean, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Eccles?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, you just couldn't hear Solomon. That's because Solomon's working on his garage right now, so I had to step in. I am Gardner Minshew II. Solomon and I, we've been real tight ever since he was the first person in the history of fantasy football to draft me in the very first round of his fantasy football league. And so, I'm primed. I'm ready to go. I'm looking to taking them all the way to the playoffs and, see what happens from there. It's one game at a time, not trying to get too far ahead, just trying to, be a winner, just like Solomon's a winner. Solomon got himself a case of Bud Light for drafting me. And so, who knows what kind of luck I'm going to bring to this show. By the way, I'm so glad to see everybody else on the panel dressed up for Halloween.
It's a team effort.
Solomon feels like he was a little bit duped. Everybody said, hey, get ready for Halloween. And so I did. And he did. And now we're stuck in this weird, parallel universe.
What you guys talk about in your house doesn't necessarily relate to what happens on the show, Gardner.
Oh, okay.
We got the birthday wishes rolling in. It's just some crazy going on over here. So we've talked a little bit about who we have on the show. Let's meet the rest of the panel. We have our usual panel members. We have our, I guess we'll just skip him. We have a commercial brewer and snake wrangler, John Ruyak.
Hey, guys.
As you heard, we have Gardner Minshew II.
Hey, Minshew Mania, man.
And I am your host, Eccles. Now, our guest this week makes her third appearance on the big show. She previously joined us on episodes 190 and 218. She joins us this week to discuss her latest business venture, Cheeky Cocktails, which creates bar quality syrups and juices delivered to your door for mixing cocktails at home. Please help us welcome April Wachtel. Welcome to the show, April.
Woo! I'm shocked you want me back.
Oh, so excited to have you back on. When you were, our listeners may not know this, when you were last on the show, when we got done, she's like, guys, I have this idea I've been playing with. I want to run the name by you. And you told us about Cheeky at that time. And man, have you just full throttle straight ahead into making that a reality. And congratulations on the success of it. This is exciting to have you back on to talk about this.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I could not wait to get my hands on it. And I'm so glad I did because my drink is so freaking good.
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that.
So you can find Cheeky products on their website at cheekycocktails.com and make sure you follow them.
No M. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
.co. Somebody's squatting on the .com.
Oh my God.
.co, no M.
Cheekycocktails.co. Sorry about that. And on Instagram at Cheeky Cocktails. And you have a YouTube channel as well, yes?
We do. I would not say that we're necessarily very consistent with posting to it, but we have one.
You have some good videos. I almost made a whiskey sour tonight just from watching the video of you.
Oh, cool.
So, but let's find out what everybody else is drinking. I'm going to start with John tonight.
So when I heard that April was going to be on the show, and then Jeff sent me an email, what do you want? And I'm like, I went through all the list, and there was, I went go down the list, and Tom Collins, and I got to tell you, I haven't had a Tom Collins. This is going to go back a ways. I haven't had a Tom Collins since Solomon was 4 years old. There was a place down in Potsdam, New York called the Rusty Nail, and Thursdays was 2 for night on mixed drinks. And I'd go and you could walk around double-fisted in this bar in upstate in northern New York, and I would get Tom Collins. So I can tell you for a fact, now I'm not a big gin drinker. We've had some nice gins on the show that I got. Tanqueray's my wife's favorite, so I mixed up this Tom Collins with some Tanqueray, and just all the flavors just really marry together really well in this. And I'm, this is you're supposed to pour it into a Collins glass, and I don't have any of those. This is not a mixed drink household. I've got it in a shaker pint that you normally get craft beer in, and it was pretty much full to the top. But I got to tell you that it's not near full anymore.
Yeah, it's almost gone.
It hasn't been that long since I did it, so it's delicious. It's freaking delicious.
John, you have a good garnish game. I can actually see from here that's like a very like consistently cut lemon wheel.
I got the sharpest knife in the drawer.
There you go.
And I do want to. It was a very special lemon that I cut. I went to Sprouts today, and this is lemon number 4,958 according to the sticker on the lemon. It didn't say PLU; it said number 4,958. So, I'm in love with you, lemon number 4,958. I've got 4,959 right next to it. I don't know that it's going to be that good.
Rhett says, hashtag, you are a true gentleman.
Ooh.
Jeff Solomon / Gardner Minshew II. What's in your glass this evening?
Yeah, so while Jeff was in the garage working on the garage door, I saw that he had some samples from Cheeky Cocktails sitting out. And so what I did was I grabbed the lemon juice, and I grabbed the honey syrup. Solomon was complaining that with the brand new bottle, and he's got these chubby little fingers, and he wasn't able to twist the top off the bottle, so I had to just flex on it, and then it got scared, and the top came off. And then what I did was I raided his liquor cabinet. I said, what does he have, like, not much left of that he would be upset if he lost it? So I mixed that with a sample of Four Roses small batch bourbon, poured it into a glass, stole a Eureka lemon off of a tree in his backyard, and I made, in honor of Halloween, I know I play for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Apparently Solomon likes those stupid 49ers. Did you know that their cheerleading squad is called the Gold Rush? And so tonight, a spooky episode, the scariest thing ever, I'm having a Gold Rush.
Love it. Amazing.
Excellent.
This is delicious.
Awesome.
Get out of here, Solomon.
I am having the same drink as Jeff Solomon. I went with the New Riff Kentucky Straight Bourbon as my mix with this one. And as I was looking through a lot of the recipes, April, I am going to ask a quick question.
Yeah, sure.
I think you have these pretty much designed where the ratio is almost always the same for every drink, right? 3/4, and 1.5 ounces to a 2 ounce. Is that about right?
That is about right. There are like we basically, I would say there's a couple things that are the bane of my existence right now, meaning that
besides this show.
No, meaning that there's always things that you want to change, right? And what we're trying to do, so for any listeners who have not seen the product so far or who haven't purchased it, when you get our product in a box, what comes with it is 2 like recipe cards. So one kind of just like welcome, orienting you to what we are and what we do and all natural juices and syrups and things like that. And then the other piece, thank you very much. The other piece is us trying to kind of summarize as best we can the ratios that you would use if you want to batch with the juices and syrups versus if you want to use them to replicate, like iconic cocktails or cocktail recipes you find online. And then we have a few sample recipes. So what we're trying to do in 1 to 2 cards is basically teach you everything you know, everything you need to know about shaking cocktails where anybody can understand it. And I'm not convinced that we've gotten there yet, but yes, that is currently exactly what we say, Jeff.
Okay. And that's from a consumer consumer perspective of me using it, I really liked that it's like, okay, I know if I'm going to grab some things and mix them up, I do 3/4 ounce of one, 3/4 ounce another, and then my alcohol, and then a top if I want to, a soda or something like that. Yeah. So, and the first sip I took of it, it was all the balance. It was like, there's the honey, there's the lemon, there's the whiskey. And so it was like so on point. That's why I have none left. But I do have a Sierra Nevada little IPA to back things up. So, and April, what is in your glass? Oh, hold on, Gardner, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I love the fact that we can take, for those, I'm just focused on football all the time. I got to remember this big old playbook. And so sometimes when people talk about cocktails, sometimes I stay away from them because it just seems so overwhelming to me. But even just, the presentation allows somebody like me to rethink, like, what really is a cocktail, talking about, acid, talking about that good balance of sweetness, and then just that booze and rounding it all out together. It's like it feels as good as running a 2-minute offense against a prevent defense. It's awesome. It's simple. I love it.
Tell that last part.
April, what are you drinking tonight?
Well, so we already discussed this a little bit at the beginning, but the first time I was on, I was not drinking at all. So I think I had water / some non-alc option. So right now, and I have an explanation for this, but right now I'm actually drinking a dirty gin martini on the rocks. This is like my guilty pleasure. Like, just, it's one thing. I love savory, so I always go back to it. And I have to say that, so I'm drinking this, is actually our immediate neighbors. There we go. Is this amazing distillery. It's called Ave Spirits. And so they have, this is their gin. It's called Blue. And they have a product called Red, which is, it's an Amaro. It's like, I would say comparable to a Campari. They have Brown, which is a coffee liqueur. They just do really beautiful artisanal, Brooklyn products. And it's kind of funny. And I kind of like joke around with them because, again, they're very like, I'd say small batch, limited release, et cetera, et cetera. And we are really looking to provide, a product that's, I'm not going to say mass in a derogatory way at all. Obviously, ingredient quality and like purity of ingredients are super important to us, but it's going kind of towards a different consumer. So we love them. We literally share a wall with them. They do just beautiful stuff and they're amazing people. So anyway, so I'm drinking a martini with their product. I do, as I mentioned, have my own products here as well, but I drink a ton of this stuff. So I was like, I'm just going to showcase their stuff with my dirty martini.
Look at you go. Look at you sharing the wealth already. That's fantastic.
I love that. And the thing is, same thing with the NFL. People don't realize there are at least 2 other professional football teams in the very state that I play in. So, it's
spread the love.
Synergistic. If you want to go to a dumb Buccaneers game, go ahead. You're not going to have fun.
You will have fun, though, drinking their stuff.
Of course.
And honestly, listeners, like we like drinking.com/show, or find our YouTube channel and watch episode 301 just for the Jeff Solomon and the Gardner Minshew second entrance. All right, we are getting set to kick the show off, but first we got to warm our brains up with a little bit we like to call
wine, beer, spirit, or pop culture reference. Okay, if you don't know the rules here, folks, I'm going to go around. I'm going to give these guys a term, and I'm going to go around the panel, and they're going to try to guess if it's a wine, a beer, a spirit, or a pop culture reference. So, is everybody ready?
Ready.
This week's
I am always ready. I'm never late. Perfect timing.
I think early and ready are different, just for the record.
Darn it.
This week's term is sastrugi. Sastrugi.
Sorry, what are the options? Wine, beer,
spirit.
Yeah.
Or pop culture reference. All right.
Sastrugi.
So I'm going to start with Mr. Minshew.
Well, thank you. I appreciate going first because obviously the guest always should go first. Sastrugo. Can you spell that, please?
Sastrugi.
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 That's a really ugly looking word.
Yeah, man. That's reminds me of something. Sastrugi. Sastrugi. I know exactly what this is because I have a friend who used to take me down to a Polish delicatessen, and we would order sastrugis. A sastrugi, it's kind of like a savory like dough with some sort of like chili meat inside of it. It goes great with a Bud Light, a sastrugi.
All right, so
I'm gonna say pop. Well, it's a pop culture reference with beer leanings because what do you have with a sastrugi? You have beer, but I'm gonna go pop culture reference because it's everybody's favorite food, the sastrugi. It's a phyllo dough with chili inside.
All righty.
Oh.
All right. April, what do you think about this word sastrugi?
Okay, I have zero idea, which I mean, this could be super embarrassing, but that's okay. I have zero idea. I think given the options on the table, I think I'm going to say like really like esoteric, unknown wine or like minimally known to people like myself. I'm going to go with wine.
All right.
But zero.
April says this is a wine term. All right. Mr. Eccles.
Yes, sir.
Sastrugi. What do you think?
Sastrugi. So y'all know how much I like the Italian wines. I'm a big fan. But this is an Italian term, but it actually has nothing to do with wine. This is a spirit reference, and it's specifically down in the boot of Italy. There is a little town that is called Sastrugi, and they're both famously known for their shots. And so I can't remember the name of it, but it's the curly pasta that's hollow, and you do a Jaeger bomb, but you suck it through a dry one of those noodles. That's the sastrugi.
You're talking about like it looks like if you cut it up into little pieces, it would be macaroni, but connected. It's like a tunnel slide.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. It may be called the sastrugi. Why not? Let's just
if you put some chili in it, it would taste like an actual sastrugi.
So you're saying this is a spirit that's sucked through a spiral pasta.
Dry pasta, not wet pasta. It's a dry pasta.
Okay.
That you do
try with the wet pasta.
This is very interesting because.
And by the way, before we go, we have all kinds of comments coming in. Rhett says it's a beer. Kristen thinks it's an Italian sarsaparilla. Methyl Ethel thinks it's a wine.
Methel's is writing inappropriate stuff in the chat. He wrote peony. Is it you're allowed to write peony in the chat?
Penne, which is a pasta.
Oh, okay.
All right, so this is interesting.
Cody says it's an Italian snake breed.
Could be.
Is that an option?
All right, so sastrugi. Eccles, what happened in Colorado Springs the last couple of days?
We got some crappy snow.
What happened in Albuquerque the last couple of days?
We got some crappy snow.
Sastrugi is a term for furrows in the snow that are created by high winds. So it is a pop culture reference, but it's interesting. I can kind of give it to Gardner Minshew because it's a pop culture reference. I can partially give it to Eccles because sastrugi is kind of a pasta, and it was named for the lines in pasta.
Oh, okay.
So I'm certainly not.
April, you didn't get any points. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. This is a contest you don't necessarily want to win. So
Yeah. Either everybody wins or everybody loses in this case.
pretty much.
Well, there you go. This week's term was sastrugi. Well, there you go.
My drink's already gone, so I happen to move on. All right, let's get.
I made a double.
I really should as well. All right, April, we're so happy to have you on. Let's get into the interview portion of the show. And I always start highest of high levels.
Yeah.
Last time you were on, we were talking about Swig and Swallow, which makes full-blown mixers. You get a margarita, you add the alcohol to it, you shake it up, you got a margarita. With Cheeky, it feels like you're deconstructing the drink even more and getting it down to its base ingredients so that we can make it at home. So I guess it's a two-parter. Tell us how Cheeky came about and what do our listeners get when they order some Cheeky?
Right. Well, so I think maybe going back to Swig and Swallow. So as you guys know, and some of the watchers, listeners, what would you call a watcher? The people in your community may know. So I had started Swig and Swallow 4.5 years ago, maybe. And ultimately, like it was about connection, and it was about making great cocktails accessible to people in the home. By the way, I'm really glad that I'm doing this after almost an entire gin martini. I'm glad that I'm talking about my company right now.
This is why we delay the interview portion of the show. So
Yes, thanks a lot. But no, so from the start, again, it was about facilitating connection, making great cocktails accessible to people in the home. I also was a brand new entrepreneur when I started this out. I was a bartender for many, many years. I came up through the industry. And over the course of years, you learn a lot of things that you didn't know when you started out. So I think coming into last year, I realized there were all of these like manufacturing challenges about making a product like ours, shepherding it through the cold chain, like in the supply chain on the way to manufacturing, once it's manufactured, in distribution, because our Swig and Swallow product, they were refrigerated. So there were all of these challenges with the product. And I thought that there were some serious challenges with the name. And basically last year I said to myself, I either am going to shut this thing down, or I'm going to take it apart and make all of the changes that I wanted to make based on the things we had learned in the past 4 years and put the thing back together. So I took several months to just really mull it over and say, like, do I still love this thing? Do I still feel like this is a really worthwhile pursuit? And again, to me, facilitating connection and helping other people like feel like the best host and entertainer and like participant in their, relationships with friends and family through hosting, to me, that did feel meaningful. So ultimately, after several months of kind of consideration, decided, you know what, I'm going to pull this thing apart. I'm going to put it back together and we're going to make all these changes. So that was the background to Swig and Swallow to Cheeky. What's very interesting is the timing of this. I actually don't remember when I had the epiphany that Cheeky should be the name, but as soon as I thought of it, I was like, that has to be it, because I think it says like what you guys have here with We Like Drinking. You have a community and an environment where people have a ton of fun, and drinking ideally should be about fun, right? It shouldn't be about like being depressed and boozing by yourself. It's like about, again, connecting with other people. And so that I didn't remember when I had that moment, but I definitely was like, this is the right name. So did that. And then similar with the concept, again, before they were complete like mixed mixers where all you do is add the spirit. In this case, I decided literally to pull the mixer apart into two pieces. So you talked a little bit about the Gold Rush earlier, about the Tom Collins. And basically what we know to be true is that there's this entire category of like basically all shaken cocktails have some sort of ratios that can be put together and can be replicated over cocktails. There's this entire category called sour style cocktails where it's a spirit, a citrus, and a sweet component. And so we just pulled these things apart and we said, instead of doing the complete full mixer, we're going to have your choice of spirit, right? So it's whatever you like. Your choice of citrus. So we've got lemon and lime juice, so rotating towards the camera, and then your choice of syrup. And we've got 6 different syrups that we offer as well. And so basically the idea is you can mix and match your favorite spirit, citrus, and syrup. And no matter what iteration you have or what combination you have, the flavors are going to be great together. And this is going to make dozens and dozens and dozens of classic cocktails, contemporary classic cocktails, and then a range of signature cocktails that you come up with itself. So that's some of the evolution. I'll stop there.
John, you looked like you wanted to ask something.
No,
Okay.
I was wrapped up in the story. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, Gardner.
Funny question first.
Yes.
Which of your 2 products go the worst together?
Ooh.
Well, it's not about them going the worst together. I would say one lookout is so spirit, citrus, and sweet component. You've got the appropriate amount of alcohol, right? You've got the appropriate amount of citrus and acidity, and you've got the appropriate amount of sweet. I would say a lookout is if you use like a really sugary flavored spirit. So for example, we know like in the rum world, for example, there might be like a 35% alcohol by volume, really like sugary flavored spirit. That is going to throw particularly the bricks content out of whack. And so I would not recommend that. I mean, if you do any base spirit, again, vodka, gin, rum, tequila, whiskey, brandy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, where again, it's like 40% or above, so 80 proof or above, you should be good. And so that's that. I mean, I would say less natural pairings might be like if you did like whiskey of any kind and like the agave syrup and lime, it's just less of a natural pairing because, we know that term or that phrase, what grows together goes together, that exists for a reason. So I think that might be less of an obvious pairing, but it's not going to taste bad. It's just probably not going to taste like as poppy as some of these other combinations might.
Or is like the fancy football people would say, like it's not like an optimal lineup. Like it could work however we want to set you up for success.
Exactly.
I get that. And then the other question on a more like serious note, it's the unavoidable elephant in the room that we've been talking to everybody about for the last however many months now. Are you finding that you've got some leverage here in terms of like, here's this awesome brand for people who maybe want to get started in upping their cocktail game, who for the most part, by and large and such and things of this nature, I use all the big words. Are you finding like that you've got more folks that are kind of like getting into it because it's like, yeah, this is what I really want to start doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we all have seen the evolution through COVID, right? So what was interesting is, again, I kind of forgot this part of the story, but the timing was interesting because we were scheduled to launch end of April, and I was like, I'm just gonna take my time now that I've done all this like philosophical, like analysis. Now I know where we're going. I'm like not in a rush. COVID happens, and immediately, so many of our friends were out of work because I have so many people in my network who are bartenders or they run restaurants, whatever. And so initially we were actually going to launch with 375 milliliters. So they're 12.7 ounces. The ones that we actually have are 4 ounces each. So we were going to launch with those because once you mix a 375, again, citrus syrup, and then a 750 of spirits or a liter of spirits, it yields 15 to 20 cocktails. So the entire intention initially was batch cocktails for events, like for, corporate events, office parties, any circumstance outside of the bar. And then as soon as COVID happened, I just decided, you know what, like we have no idea what's going on. The best move is to try to chip in and help if we can, and we're going to launch a smaller product. We're going to start a bartender affiliate program. So hopefully some of our friends through collaboration might have an alternative revenue stream. So that was kind of what happened. Again, we launched the four ounces super fast and very quickly. It became apparent that I think people are using them to batch at home, but I would say like our top two sources of revenue are spirits companies, purchasing pallets, which is obviously great for us. And then the other is corporate events, whether it be corporate gifting, virtual happy hours, virtual cocktail classes. And so if I had to guess, because I don't know exactly how everyone's using it, if I had to guess, I would guess that most people are using them to learn how to make cocktails and to have these, again, bar quality, like this. We make these with the juices are 100% juice, but the syrups, these are almost exact replicas of what I made in every cocktail bar I ever worked in, because there are standard recipes that you make. And those recipes are the basis for those thousands and thousands of recipes that you'll find online in classic cocktail books, et cetera, et cetera. So use case, I don't know for sure, but I would say that I think more people are like tinkering and like sort of playing home bartender. And I think once we are able to have bigger gatherings, I think we'll see more of the batching.
So you could say kind of like you were making lemonade out of lemons. I mean, I frankly, but oddly enough, you'd think maybe the 375s would go, especially back in April and May when we were first getting used to all this. But I mean, it seems like it was, albeit unfortunate relative to what's happening on the planet, but for you, the fact that it's led to this personal, these personal experimentations that just organically growing out of this particular situation, I guess.
I think that again, not to take your really fun show and make it all of a sudden like really serious. But I mean, I think that, so like what we know about COVID is it's accelerated a lot of trends that were already happening. Yeah. And so I don't think that we're here by accident. Like, I think that we saw these like sort of macro consumer trends, people ordering e-commerce, like direct consumer. Obviously the beverage alcohol space has a lot of restraints and constrictions, like across state lines because of all the crazy liquor laws. But we saw this desire. People love craft cocktails. Like the people who go to these sort of places absolutely love them and don't want to settle for less. And so I think sort of seeing all those things, like we were ahead of our time in a certain way with our past product. And I think, in business, like timing is absolutely everything. It's the most important thing. And I think in that regard, like, I feel shitty saying this in the circumstances that we're in, given how many people are in a really challenging position, but the timing couldn't have been better for the launch, because this is, again, we've just been, growing exponentially month over month. So we were well positioned.
Yeah. And I would have to say that your success speaks to your preparation, right? You've got the playbook, maybe you scripted out the first 10, 15 plays, but if you step to the line and you see a linebacker is covering LaVisca Chenault in the slot, you're going to pull an audible and you're just going to bomb it downfield, right?
That was actually really deep, despite the trappings around that.
But yeah, I had a question lined up, because you guys did pivot like immediately when everything happened. And, it's one of the things that as we were shutting down as part of COVID, there was people just screaming like, this is an opportunity. And you don't want to say it's something you can capitalize, and you don't really want to call it an opportunity. But at the same time, it was an opportunity to say, look, the world just changed and I'm going to change with it. Or you said the world's going to change, I'm going to go no bones, fall on the ground and kick and scream until I get my binky back.
Yeah.
And so what did you see, or what was it just inside you that said that recognized so immediately that how you needed to pivot? Because that's a major pivot that you did, going from 375s down to the 4 ounce. And just to mention the 4 ounce, you get 2 4 ounces when you order, and this will make about 5 drinks, right?
Yeah, I mean 5 to 6,
5
depending.
to 6.
Depending on if you're drinking your glass or in John's glass.
So was it, I don't know, was it something, I don't know, was it just something that was inside you that said, this is what we need to do? Or was, how did you make that decision to make that immediate pivot?
Yeah. I mean, I think that it was obvious with the sizes, and we went through this with Swig and Swallow, where we launched with a 32 ounce size where we sold it half full and you just filled it up with, half a liter of spirits. And then we realized that there was all this critique about, people were like, oh, isn't like, how do I try it? And like, can you drop off samples? And we're like, oh, Jesus, like you want samples? Because all of them were really big. So, so we already went through this sort of like, we needed to roll out a smaller size, and then we need to roll out an even smaller size before. So I was already aware, like prior to coming into Cheeky, I was already aware, like we might have different sizes of the same flavors. So I'd already done some of that exploration. And again, I knew that this is like, even, and I actually don't have a bottle of it right now, but even the 375s, they're not as cute as this. They're like long necked, but the reason I was going to launch with those long necks is when you're batching for an event, the long neck is really helpful, where the stubby bottle is not quite so much. So that was really the plan, was to be really suitable for that context. So I think it was just like, we did this one, our quote unquote launch event. It was like our unofficial launch event. It was with American Express. It was an event for International Women's Day. So I think International Women's Day is March 13th. The event was on the 8th. There were 400 people were supposed to show up. 2,000 showed up. We actually absolutely crushed it. Thank God we had so much product. And we ran out like right before the end of the event, but it was like, everybody said, we want to purchase, like Amex said they wanted to purchase, the caterers that run, 5,000 person building. We're like, we want to, like, are you guys launch? Are you ready? And that event in New York City, they were already handing out gloves. Like the event organizers were already like, we don't know if this is a thing, but like we hear it might be a thing. And like this thing is coming from China. And so things were getting crazy. And so it just was like immediately obvious. Okay, this travel across the globe like that, people are not going to be going to events. And also, again, I felt like we had some cushion on our end. And so it was like, if I can help our friends in any tiny little way, this feels like the right move. And we'll figure the rest of it out right after. And ultimately, it ended up being the right product for everything else that happened after too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's so awesome of you guys. So I have. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I wanted to know about the product. I see on the samples that I have, and I'm assuming it's on every single syrup and juice, where it says that it's shelf stable. And then also we're seeing that it should be refrigerated after opening. So am I to assume within a reasonable amount of time, I can keep this, if I haven't opened it, I could maybe keep this in like, the bottom shelf of a innermost cabinet in my house and everything will be fine. After I open it, it should be refrigerated. And once I open it for the first time, that it should be consumed within a couple of weeks. Is that the game plan with those?
Yeah. I mean, innermost cabinet or outermost cabinet. So the nature of shelf stable. So it's actually quite interesting. And this is something that, like, again, I knew something about before with our previous version, but the manufacturing process was completely different in terms of like what you did to get to refrigerated product versus what you do to get to shelf stability. So we use a process called the hot fill process. So all we do, we don't add any additives, preserves, anything like that. All we do is depending on the product, we're going to heat it to a certain temperature and then hold it for a period of time. So it might be 185 and hold it for 5 minutes for one product. It might be 190 and hold it for 6 minutes for another. But the point is it's like the absolute minimum that you can do to the product to get shelf stability. So technically, they never go bad. We say a year because it's like anything, this is like 100% lime juice. It's going to oxidize. So that's going to be a color change. There's going to be additional sediment. And again, sediment forms very quickly, but additional sediment. The flavor will eventually start changing. So the standard is 2 years. Like you normally say 2 years. We say 1. We also believe with mixers are a weird product to have in brick and mortar, like in retail stores. It's just a weird category. It's like much lower velocity than a lot of other categories. Retail brick and mortar is not part of our strategy for the foreseeable future, though it might be at some point. But as such, since we are selling directly to people, we believe that, or at least what we've seen from our customers so far, is that normally people are consuming it within a few weeks, if not relatively immediately. But a year is like a very reasonable shelf life to ensure that their experience is as high quality as possible. So to your second kind of question, yeah, we always say it's like a fresh juice once you open it. So definitely refrigerate it. Like, how long would you normally keep lime juice that you've squeezed in your fridge? Probably, you could probably keep it 2, maybe 3.
Well, the Minshew family is very frugal, but I'm talking about to the connoisseurs.
Right. I mean, again, you're going to notice, and I'm sure you've seen, sort of studies on this or tests on this. But if you squeeze a lime, you're going to start seeing the difference within minutes. Like if you're a super connoisseur, you're going to see that and perceive that. You will notice with our juices, and again, this is because they're 100% natural, real products. You're going to see the pH is going to drop, meaning the acidity is going to become more perceptible over time. It's just what happens with a real product. So I would say drink it sooner rather than later. Again, definitely always refrigerate after opening. But with the syrups, you could probably keep some of the syrups a month or more in the fridge. But again, if anything ever looks funny, just throw it out, right? But again, we say safely 2 weeks without an issue, 3, 4 with a lot of them, it's going to be fine. But also depends again on the temperature of your fridge. Like if the door's open a lot, there's a lot of factors.
I know mine's not going to make it through the weekend. So
I was going to say, and I don't want to speak for a business or anything like that, but I would just speak personally. If times were changed and I was allowed to walk into other people's houses and look in their refrigerators, if I saw that you were sitting on a half-used 4-ounce mixer bottle, the only appropriate answer is, when did you open this? You better say this morning. Otherwise it could be gone, and I don't want to hang out with you if the answer is something else.
Actually, did you hear that I'm forgetting which service it is, but it might be through Amazon, but they're trying to get people to go into your homes to replenish your fridge. I personally would find that to be terrifying and freaky.
No.
Minshew is creeped out, but Minshew also likes the luxuriosity of it all.
Yeah.
Hey, hands off! I'm marinating those jalapenos for a specific amount of time, right?
So
Just
April,
pick a couple fries from lunch.
So April, I have the honey syrup.
Yep.
I also have the limited mint syrup.
Yes.
I believe I saw is it cranberry syrup that you have there?
Cranberry lemon.
Cranberry lemon.
Yeah.
And so that's 3 of the syrups. What are the other syrups that you have? And I'm curious, I know the mint is a limited edition kind of thing. Are there other limited editions that we can be expecting, or what's kind of is there any future plans or expansions that you're having for the syrup offerings?
Okay, so the first question is the more difficult because I always forget at least one syrup. So
okay, perfect.
Okay, simple syrup, agave syrup, honey ginger, cranberry lemon. We said the mint already, which is limited edition, lemon lime, and then what did I forget? I definitely forgot one.
And then lemon lime.
Pumpkin spice.
No. Bad Gardner Minshew. I forgot one, whatever. It's on cheekycocktails.co. But again, these are all or almost all of them are very, very common within cocktail bars.
Okay.
In terms of the limited edition, so I feel very conflicted about this because I love the limited edition. I love the featuring of a, let's just say like an heirloom apple from New York State incorporated into it. Like, I love that stuff. At the same time, I mean, we are a small team and we are getting absolutely hammered right now in terms of like, I mean, and again, this is a very positive thing and I'm not complaining, but it's like on a given day, you could receive, not that many orders or sales. And then on other days, we could be getting thousands of boxes that we personally are fulfilling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And again, we're doing all the manufacturing. We're not actually doing manufacturing in-house at this point. But the point is that there's such tremendous fluctuations in the business right now that it is really hard to be like, I've got a great idea. Let's do something. It takes a ton of work. And then we've got to talk to everyone about it. And you know what I'm saying? So yes. I want that to be part of the future. I would say that, quite frankly, our next limited edition probably won't be until next year. And again, I want to make sure that there's some sort of regularity or like, it makes sense within everything that we're doing, but ultimately we want to provide like a standard that people can rely on and they know it's always there. So that's like a main focus.
Awesome. John, final question.
Yeah. So, and this is something we kind of banty about at the brewery. We've got a tap room, which is about 4 miles from my house as the crow flies. And it's the only game in town in that area because all the other stuff up there is bars and stuff like that. And bars are just closed down and things like that. So we're just kind of knocking it out of the park and we have to actually turn people away for capacity issues. And we're wondering, what happens when we crawl out of this and people have other opportunities. So you being such on the ball, how do you see the way you operate things when we all crawl out of this and the market kind of changes? What do you think you see yourself doing at that point?
Well, so I probably should have said this at the beginning, but our vision for our business is to be the cold brew of cocktails. So that the kind of notion that we've tapped a little bit, but batch cocktails. This is a real thing, and this is a way to make great cocktails accessible to everybody. So from sort of day one, I have again the simplicity and, in my opinion, the sort of elegance of mix and match. Like, you really can't mess this thing up. That could play in the home. That can play again in the office. Like, it's really easy to understand for people when they're just like, I just choose my spirit and then I just choose one of this and one of this. And they still feel like they're again participating. So, I mean, what I expect to happen right now, we're really focusing on brand awareness. So when you look at e-commerce companies, and we are not strictly an e-commerce company, but the majority of our transactions are online. Customer acquisition cost is a big one. So CAC and LTV, customer acquisition cost, lifetime value of the customer. And right now, with all these corporate orders that we're getting, we'll get, one person finds out about us, places the order, and then we're sending out 100, 200, 500 kits to all these people who never knew about us. So right now I'm really focused on brand awareness. And again, that seems to be going very, very well. As we fall out of this, I assume that will continue to magnify. We've gotten a lot of people saying, we've got a little, how did you find out about us? Like in our order form and in our bulk order submission form as well. And we've gotten a lot of word of mouth, referral, other, et cetera, et cetera. So we're trying to sort of track this and understand it. But in terms of if people, let's just say people dropped all of their e-commerce behaviors that they've gained during COVID, which is unlikely. Even that being the case, again, we could easily launch the 375 milliliter, and then all of a sudden that plays a part for any context where you want cocktails for a crowd. So I think, again, back to the cold brew comment, this can be in kits. This can be, again, in fast casual contexts. This can be, again, in offices where, again, I think that a lot of people will be socializing if and when we kind of transition out of this. This could be packaged and used in a draft cocktail operation. behind the bar. This could be used in hotel mini bars, in a bunch of front of the house applications. So I don't know. I could be wrong. None of us know what's going to happen, but I think it's simple enough where it could play a part in a lot of different contexts.
Christmas baskets,
dude.
Christmas baskets.
Like,
So,
like for real, like I'm going out of town this week, and so I had to decide what I was going to make tonight based on that, because I'm like, I'm going to take 2 of these with me and be able to make drink for, probably for the time that we're gone with having, a handful of people there. And especially if you release the 375, that to me, like this is a great option for that. Oh, I'm heading out of town. Oh, I'm going camping. I grab 2 of these and a bottle and I'm done.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Gardner, I'm sorry. I think I interrupted.
well, I heard that Solomon's the one that likes to tell people how to run their businesses, but sitting in on the show,
I forgot. By the way, now I remember.
feeding in on what everybody else is talking about. I think I got a little bit of Minshew knowledge I can drop on you. All right, so I believe his name is John Ruyak, was saying something about holiday gift baskets, and I'm almost thinking about, well, maybe here's the next iteration after this holiday season. Because again, luck is about preparation meeting opportunity. And so obviously there's got to be some preparation involved here. But I'm just thinking about, check this out. When we're ready to get those 375 bottles out there, just envision it. 375 bottle, 375 bottle, 750 of some liquor, and a 1.5 liter American oak barrel. Once a year, people make their own batch barrel aged cocktails. $1 million.
I mostly love it. I would have to say that the citrus in the barrel.
Yeah.
That is probably not going to go over so well, but
it might leak all over the floor. I understand.
Well, it's more like, typically when you see barrel aged cocktails, there's straight spirits on the back bar.
Yes,
because you can kind of allow it to do that. But I love the idea. I definitely think, and this is a real thing, right? People are we're doing a lot of orders where people are spending us for pack. So we should be starting to sell both shakers, a range of different garnishes, as well as 32-ounce ball jars on our site in the immediate future. It's more, again, we've just been like bananas busy trying to fulfill everything. So there have been a handful of things that have gotten pushed by the wayside. But to your point about having something to batch it into, it makes all the sense in the world. So on board.
That's nice. So awesome that you may start selling the ball. That's a great idea, because that's what you use in all your YouTube videos and everything. That's fantastic.
Oh, we have them in stock. We've had them in stock for probably 2 months, and then I've just been like I've got to fix the website eventually.
All right. Any more questions, guys, before we move on?
Can I pour another?
Yeah, I know.
I'll run to the other room.
Here's where I made my biggest mistake tonight. As you all probably heard, John was mixing his second cocktail.
Oh, I heard. We all heard.
I left all my mixing stuff not in my office. So I've got everything I need here, but nothing to measure it with. So
I have everything that I need for a room temperature virgin cocktail.
Here you go. Here you go, Eccles.
Thanks.
I'm the one who's prepared over here.
And John is prepared. I could just wing it. That's always a possibility. All right. So April, you're off the hot seat because we asked such hard questions on here. We're going to continue on with the show. We've got some important stuff to talk about given the time of year it is. So let's get into the hard hitting. Booze news. We discuss interesting, noteworthy, or sometimes some pretty silly things. John Ruyak.
So I had sourced the story and had forwarded on to the guys, and we actually had some some listeners, Matt and Megan, do kind of the same thing, but they kind of did this on their own, and they shared this with us for us to pair beer, styles of beer, with Halloween candy. So I'm just gonna kind of run down the list, and it's always important to be able to wash that sticky candy off your teeth with a nice fizzy beer, right?
Right.
Because you got to inspect the kids' bags when they get home, and I don't know how we're handling it all this year. In New Mexico, Halloween's been canceled, so but that's another story. But other places might be more fortunate and be able to, go out and enjoy those things, or heck, just go out to the grocery store and buy those 3-pound bags of stuff and bring them back to the house and see you want to pair it with, right? I mean, it's that kind of year. We might as well get a boatload of cavities. So I'm just going to run through this pretty quickly, and we'll talk about that beer style and what Matt and Megan thought was a good pairing with that. And maybe April can give us a good cocktail pairing with these particular candies. How's that sound?
Before we get to it, I'll go ahead and say right now, from the wine perspective, everything you pair with port, and then I'm done.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
Or and if you want to go on the lighter side with some bubbles, Prosecco.
Yeah, or maybe some white Zin.
Oh yeah, okay.
All right, now go ahead. The wine stuff is easy.
So, this time of year, even though we're all out of it at Lizard Tail Brewing, Oktoberfest.
Yes.
And we ran out of that pretty quick. Matt thinks that with Oktoberfest, Kit Kats go pretty well, and Megan likes Twix.
All right, so Kit Kat, Twix. So we've got the cookie and the chocolate, or the cookie and the caramel and chocolate, and they're pairing that with an Oktoberfest. You got a little bit of sweetness in the Oktoberfest. A little bit of
sweetness, a little bit of caramel malts. A lot of carrot amber, some caramel malts in an Oktoberfest. It's not too hoppy, just enough to let you know that it's there.
I feel
there's some sweetness and some caramely things going on in there. What do you think, April? What kind of cocktail might go with a Kit Kat or a Twix?
So I guess before we go to that, April, I want to get a base question here. Like from a wine perspective, when we look at pairing food and wine, and especially with sweets, really the big rule for Gardner and I think I think is the drink needs to be as sweet or sweeter than the dish. And that's why it's pretty tough on the wine side to really get a good pairing, because those tannins just fuck up everything when you're going in with a milk chocolate or something like that. Or
whoa, I thought this was a family show. I got a MOU I gotta follow on here. Come on.
My bad. So
Jeez,
April, when it comes to cocktails, is there any kind of like guiding principle or base rule that you have before you get to the Twix/Kit Kat pairing?
This is a really complex question. So I'm actually not that accustomed to pairing cocktails with. So cocktails and desserts for me are a very weird thing, because I don't personally love like the sweet on sweet. Like I personally prefer something where there's more contrast. So, for example, I used to teach cocktail classes where there were cocktail and cheese pairings. So this actually could be a sort of like good half answer to your question. So we would pair, I'm just trying to think, like it might be like a creamy, let's just say goat and cow's milk cheese. We might pair that with like a French 75 with like a hint of vanilla in it. So a gin, a vanilla syrup, like a honey vanilla syrup, lemon juice, and then champagne. So that could be an example. One of the things that we did notice that was really problematic when you were pairing with cheeses is the cocktail itself had to have enough body. So viscosity, mouthfeel, however you want to describe it. And so I would say taking that learning and sort of transitioning or translating and transposing it onto the Halloween candy question, I personally would go for something contrasty. I would go for like a whiskey neat with like a Kit Kat or with a, you know, that's more the direction I would go.
Yeah. Now we're talking. I can totally see that.
That blows me away. All right.
I wouldn't want to do like an old fashioned with like whatever Demerara syrup and chocolate bitters, or, you know, like that's the sort of thing where you think intellectually that it might work, but I feel like that would just like way oversweet everything. Because all these candies too, like the classic candies you would get at Halloween, are like wicked sweet.
Right.
So I would want to go contrasty.
All right.
Yeah.
What's next, John? Just like one or two more.
Let's you know, we won't do porter or anything like that, but let's go with stout.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Matt says Reese's. Megan switches over to Kit Kat. You know, for me, I would say stout. Screw the Reese's. Get the dark chocolate peanut butter cups from Trader Joe's.
Oh, dude. Yes.
You know what I think would go good with a stout is dark chocolate covered espresso bean.
Oh, dude,
that's what I do at Trader Joe's.
Drop them in there and then knock it back and then chew them up when you get to the bottom.
Oh yeah, like all fancy. Put it in a champagne flute and drop the chocolate covered espresso beans in there. Like, hey everybody, look at me.
So April, are we doing shots of Kahlua with like dark chocolate Reese's peanut butter cups or no?
Ugh, no. I mean, I'm just trying to think again. You could like again. I'm going to stick to the sort of whiskey neat comment. And again, I actually might go for like a. I think bourbon or rye could do. I mean, I'm definitely thinking American whiskey versus outside of the U.S. So for this, I mean, you might be able to get away with like an Amaro of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Fernet, because it's going to be way too like harsh, but like something where it's like very dry might be enough. Again, a lot of the Amari have a lot of sugar in them, so I would go for one that's not so. But I mean, maybe even, I know this is on the borderline, but like maybe even going for like a sweet vermouth. Again, that kind of is between us as cocktails versus on the wine side, but I don't know.
All right. And then go one more that's no chocolate.
Yeah, and I've got the perfect thing here. We're going to go completely off the rails with this. So they picked out a Hefeweizen, and they thought the best candy, both of them thought the best candy that went with Hefeweizen was Swedish fish.
Oh.
Well, Hefeweizen is very highly carbonated.
Mm-hmm.
So it really kind of cuts through the sweetness of Swedish fish. You know that, well, we all know what that's like, right?
Yeah.
It's sticking to your teeth. It just doesn't go away. You know, you kind of like maybe want to brush your teeth with that Hefeweizen while you're in there. I don't know. I mean, is there anything that would go cocktail-wise with something as sweet and as gummy as Swedish fish?
Oh God! Oh, you're really pushing it right now. I mean, it could be something really strange. Honestly, like what I find, and this might just be me, but like I really find I have to try things. I like there's certain things that you can just not infer. Like even if you take like your version of an old fashioned, if you use a lemon zest, an orange zest, or a grapefruit zest, it's going to completely transform the cocktail in a way that you did not predict. So I feel really inadequate about my answer, but I don't know. Something wacky like tequila or mezcal could miraculously work because of the contrast, but I have zero idea.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I spirit wise, I think that like something almost like herbal and zippy, like a gin or even like an absinthe per se, things of this nature. I think would actually. I mean, I'd like to. Dude, I need a Swedish fish in my life, like I need a pick six. You know what I'm saying? But just throwing that out there. Can I say? And I'm sorry, Jeff Eccles, my most gracious host. I apologize for cutting you off and even maybe changing things a little bit. You know, I'm sure you had something brilliant to say, but I've got some brilliance that I just want to throw down in everybody's life. The brilliance is this. It's 4 words. Bud Light. I'm sorry, the camera's messing me up. Bud Light candy corn.
Oh. My stomach hurts just hearing that.
Right? Hurt. I think I just burped a little bit. To me, with the Swedish sip, I go back to your first one, April. I go back to the French 75. I go back to all the bubbles with a little bit of sweetness on top of it to just kind of try and melt the Swedish fish away so that they're not in between my teeth for 30 minutes.
Yeah. As soon as you can infuse it, just do vodka.
Well, exactly. Can we just address Kristen's response here for a second? Isn't there a Skittles flavored vodka?
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, probably. Listen, you can infuse some crazy stuff.
There's toasted marshmallow flavored vodka. I mean,
I believe I once saw. I was hanging out with my friend at that Polish delicatessen. Sastrugi infused vodka.
oh,
What's not to love? You got the heat, you got the filo, the toe, and the chili.
oh my goodness! Look at that. With that, it's
last call.
You're muted, Gardner. You got to remember when the video
2-minute warning.
Last call. Time to clean house and lock the doors. You know what we do here, folks. We're looking for a little bit of help from you. John Ruyek, if the folks want to follow us on the social media platforms, how can they do so?
You can follow us on Twitter at We Like Drinking 1. Instagram at We Like Drinking, and everybody's favorite place to hang out. That's the Tavern on Facebook. WeLikeDrinking.com/tavern.
April, one last time, where can our listeners find you and or Cheeky on the social media platforms?
Okay, Cheeky is at Cheeky Cocktails, primarily on Instagram, on Facebook as well. CheekyCocktails.co, no M at the end, on the interwebs. My Instagram is nothing to note. It's Cheeky April. It's not that exciting, but I'm there.
You know what's interesting?
I love you. I love you.
You know what's interesting? I was hearing Solomon opine about how the We Like Drinking handle on Twitter is We Like Drinking 1. That's the numeral 1. And first of all, I said, hey, man, I don't know what the hell it means to opine, but why are you so bummed out about being We Like Drinking 1? Because on Twitter, I am Minshew_2. You know, and so it works, man. It works. Numerals. It's the Roman numeral 1, right?
That's right. That's right. Gardner, I don't know if you're contractually obligated to not pitch for us. So if we need to bring Jeff Solomon in, we need a little bit of work. Sometimes folks want to tell us what they think about the show, or maybe your performance in last week's game. If they want to let us know what they think about either, where can they go to do so?
Well, criticism is everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, tell a friend. That's how I feel. I'd imagine that if people are listening on whatever device they use to just listen to the show, and I don't know why you would just listen, but I'd imagine you look at that device, whatever application you're using for that device, I'm certain almost always it's like you always run for it at first and goal on the 1. Almost always there's a little section on that app where there's an empty 5 stars that you can fill in all the way to the 5 stars, and you can leave a comment letting everybody know why it's We Like Drinking The We Like Drinking podcast is the greatest podcast of all time. They're the only podcast to ever have Gardner Minshew II on for a Halloween episode, no less. And I'm so glad everybody dressed up. John, take the mask off. You're scaring people. There's that. And I would also say, you know, if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, Solomon was telling me to tell everybody to like the episode, to subscribe, and just bang the hell out of that bell for some reason.
So they get notified every time we go live. You know, if you've done all that, if you've ordered up all your cheeky, you've followed us on all the social medias, you've left us a review, you've mashed the subscribe button on YouTube, and you're looking to do more, consider becoming a We Like Drinking Patreon today. For as little as $1 a month, you can become a part of the family. And it really is a family. I got to say, Kristen's watching live. She watches us live almost all the time. Kristen doubled her support level today, like tripled how much we bring in a month when she doubled how much she would. So Kristen, we thank you so much for that. You can find out how you can get t-shirts, how you get stickers, how you help direct the show, how you help tell Jeff Solomon, Gardner Minshew II, the third, to drink on an episode. You get all of that by visiting welikedrinking.com/pledge today. You can also find the show notes for this episode with all the links to the stories or mentions we had at welikedrinking.com/episodes. Also, Cody doubled his last year just to force Solomon to do something. I don't even remember what it was. I think he had to drink something on the next episode. I don't
probably had to dress like his favorite football player.
But we've reached the time of the show, unfortunately, where I have to say, okay, panel, let's take one last trip around this table and get some final thoughts before we shut off the lights. John Ruyak.
Well, you know, I'm pretty famous in these segments for just talking about weird stuff, like how on Sunday I was finding rattlesnakes and on Monday it was snowing in Albuquerque. But just serious up. You know, I know a lot of you like to order Indian food, and it's super, super tasty, right? But if you don't like the fact that the naan is cold when you get home, make it yourself. I made my own naan this evening.
Wow.
And it was awesome. We don't normally pitch other places, but Minimalist Baker, really cool vegan recipe for naan. Super simple. Took an hour and a half for a risen dough. Just do it. It was super tasty.
Jeff Solomon.
You know.
I'm sorry. Gardner Minshew II.
Okay, Gardner Minshew would have something to say, but unfortunately, John, I signed a non-disclosure agreement.
Oh God!
But hold up.
Oh,
okay. I want to be serious for a second. And I know it's tough with the hair. Jeff Solomon here, and I'm not trying to like bring anybody down or anything like that. But those of you who know me well know that I lost a really dear friend of mine just a little bit over a week ago. And I just want everybody to do themselves a favor. If not at least once in your life, there's a band, and they're actually really difficult to find. Not that they're not amazing and like they've sold, have millions, tens of millions of views of all their songs on YouTube. They're difficult to find because the name of the band is Girls. So you look up Girls and all of a sudden it's like everything shows up. But my buddy JR was their bass player and he was their producer for 3 of what are said to be like the most amazing indie rock albums of the late 2000s or the early aughts or whatever you want to call it. Go listen to Girls. And I think it helps. When you're sad, it sure helps me. One of the greatest bands ever. And we miss you, JR. We love you. And bring the fucking music back. I didn't even tell it to stop, but there you go.
I'll just throw it in. Give me a stop the music. I'll edit it all back.
Stop the music.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that, Jeff. I know that happened to you, and hearts out to everybody that knew JR, and it's just a sad thing that happened. April, any final thoughts before we let you get out of here?
I just want to say I didn't get the memo about dressing up as, something for the Halloween episode. However, if you bring me back next year, I will come with an amazing costume.
Oh, done. We are just starting 2021. We already have something in the books for October. Consider it done.
Okay, excellent.
And with that, I'll say thanks again for joining us at the We Like Drinking podcast. Where you'll never drink alone. We forgot to remind April that we punched.
Yeah, I got the message.
She knows. Seasoned pro over here.
My fist is like way over here.
I know you're trying to punch. Like I'm trying to punch it on. Like I'm trying to punch it on.
Figured it out eventually.
That was awesome. Thank you, April.
Thank you guys so much. Are we out?
We are. No, we're still on YouTube. We
Okay.
hung out a little bit. The show is over. I'm gonna stop the recording now and
Distinction is between the two.
before things crash or anything like that, because that's been happening.
Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Oh, that was awesome. I snuck little sips of everything I was pouring it. This stuff is really fucking good.
Yay! That's honestly any feedback that you guys have. If there's non-stellar feedback, I'd love to hear that as well.
What I meant to ask this on the show, and I didn't. Everything sold. Is everything sold in a pair, or can you buy single things?
No, you can buy single things. So this is one of the things that we're doing right now is we're going to be switching over from Squarespace to Shopify. And there's a lot of it's basically just how we're hosting the website. And there's a lot of better functionality with that. Because there's a lot of issues, I think, with the way it displays in the shop page, but you can shop a la carte. So any combination of bottles you want, you can shop in specific size kits and choose your selection, or you can shop in the cocktail kits themselves.
Okay.
So, any option.
So what is your best seller?
This is a tough question for a couple of reasons. So in terms of revenue on the website, the 8-bottle sampler kit is the #1 seller.
Gotcha. Okay.
But then after that, a la carte, and I actually haven't checked in maybe a week and a half, but after that, I believe lime juice and then ginger syrup were the #1 and #2 a la carte options. But then again, remember the bulk of our sales is actually not coming from that. It's coming from these bulk corporate orders.
Right.
And those are willy-nilly. Also, it's again, sometimes one person is deciding for everybody, okay, we'll have one of these 3 options. And sometimes they're just everybody gets a margarita. So it's hard to tell what, is the most.
Right.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Damn it, I meant to bring it up on the show that what I really like, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
At first, when I first thought about it in my head, I didn't like the deconstruction idea. I liked the mixer idea of swig and swallow, where it was just I had this half full bottle and I poured my booze in it and I poured it over ice and I was good to go.
Yep.
Until I got the product
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh shit. Now that I have these, I can make 8 different drinks, depending on what I mix in with it. So I really once I got out of my head and had things in hand, I was like, oh, I like this so much better because I want to try a gimlet, and I want to try a mojito, and I want to try this, and I want to try this, and I want to try this, and I want to try these 5 drinks, and I can do it all with, these 2 mixers. So, so as usual, I'm dense when it comes to seeing the future, and it usually takes me to get my hands on something before I really see it. So I really like what you did with this and the deconstructing idea. So,
honestly, most people are like that, and I think I'm like that in a lot of contexts. So it's not like being dense,
Yeah. No, I'm always beat myself up, but yeah, Kristen says I think the recipe cards are key. Otherwise, you can't figure it out.
No, and that's again, I really am unhappy with what we have right now, because I think there's got to be a better / a bunch of better ways of explaining this. At the same time, again, it's hard to know what seems easy for people to understand or overwhelming, because again, it's such a fine line between the two. So we have a number of sort of changes planned for the recipe card / we have like this whole little booklet of wow, my hair looks really crazy right now. A whole booklet of all these, again, classic and contemporary classic cocktails that you can make using our products, where it's like, and it's going to be in an image, the ingredients, like all of that stuff, where you can just like either scan a QR code or like follow, just go to a URL that's like on a little piece of collateral in the box itself as well. So we've got some overhauls planned for that, but I'm really glad that was that it was a you're happy about the change versus
no. Yeah, and Kristen says, I think if you provided kits based on what people already like, and then provide recipe ideas for different but similar cocktails.
Yeah.
I was kind of, in my head, I was kind of thinking the same thing. It's like, okay, I order the margarita, and then the card comes and it's like, okay, you like the margarita, here's 7 other drinks that you can make just by changing, what you have.
So the recipe card that you have, it does something like that, where it's again super introductory, because we didn't want to like overwhelm people with an encyclopedia. I think where that gets challenging, and I am in agreement, yes, but where it gets challenging is, let's just say somebody orders a margarita, a Moscow Mule, a whiskey sour, and a Cosmopolitan in one kit. Then all of a sudden, because all of these have so many parallels to one another, all of a sudden there's no continuity between the cocktails that are like the one that you ordered, because they also cross over with a lot of the other ingredients. And people are, what we've seen is, well, what we assume is happening is people don't necessarily always put 2 and 2 together, as in like, agave and lime is going to make the margarita. Or oftentimes like people order like the whiskey sour and the Tom Collins, but they're the same mixers. They're just a different spirit. So I think while I definitely want to standardize some of that, it's a little hard for us to both be like mix and match whatever you want, and then be prescriptive and say, drink just a margarita and da-da-da. So I haven't figured it out yet, but we are trying to.
I had to laugh because that's exactly what John ordered.
Oh, is that what you ordered?
Yeah.
But this is like, this happens, right? This is like, it happens often, right? And that's the thing is, again, I think that the most qualitative information we can get, like the more conversations we can have like this, where we're talking to like a ton of people who have tried this stuff and have like searched the website, then we'll have a better understanding. I don't know.
Awesome. All right. YouTube, we're going to end at an hour and a half, a little over an hour and a half. Welcome to us. Thank you all, Brad, Cody, Kristen, Rhett, Methyl Ethel, all y'all that joined us tonight.
Thanks a lot, guys. And Jeff McKinney.
We love
Gardner Minshew didn't realize he was supposed to say that,
but we love that you guys join every week. I love throwing your comments out there. It's awesome. Next week, I don't even know what's on next week. Are we drinking wine next week?
Ooh.
No, we don't. I don't know what we may not have a guest next week. I don't know what's going on. I'm right on top of things as usual. But hopefully we'll see y'all next week, and we're going to end the show. So thanks all. Love you.